We're creating more need for debt, a bigger black hole for debt, and that hole can't be filled. And again, what's going to happen here is what I think you and I have spoken about a million times, is they're going to blame the war. They need a scapegoat. This war, this expanding war, it started with Ukraine, now Israel, is going to get bigger here. They're going to use this as a scapegoat. It's the war's fault why the financial system is collapsing. It's the war's fault why the Federal Reserve and central banks can't get a handle on inflation. But what they're not telling people, I think they're going to stand pat here, but they're still fighting inflation. This is a lie. They've been selling people this lie repeatedly. They knew from the get-go this would not be temporary, this would not be transitory, and that it would continue. And it will continue to get much worse moving forward.
Earlier this month, the U.S. national debt, which represents the money borrowed by the federal government to cover operating expenses, exceeded $33 trillion for the first time, as reported by the U.S. Department of the Treasury. This surge in debt can be attributed to the heightened spending driven by the COVID crisis and lockdowns in recent years. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve has initiated a rapid series of interest rate hikes to combat runaway inflation. They are raising rates at their fastest ever pace, reaching levels not seen since before the 2008 global financial crisis. According to historical Treasury Department data, the national debt has grown from under $300 billion in June 1946 to a staggering $33 trillion by September 2023. This immense debt level now exceeds the combined size of the Chinese, Japanese, German, Indian, and British economies. In this context, market trader Gregory Mannarino asserts that current financial actions are exacerbating the need for more debt, creating a growing black hole of debt that cannot be filled. He suggests that this debt situation might be used as a scapegoat to blame ongoing wars, which in turn are being used to divert blame for the financial system's collapse and the challenges the Federal Reserve and central banks face in controlling inflation. The ongoing sell-off in the bond market is driving up interest rates and exerting pressure on global stock markets. In Gregory's view, the expansion of war efforts is partially intended to help maintain low interest rates and exert control over the financial system. Furthermore, Gregory points out that central banks have been actively suppressing interest rates through extensive debt purchases. This strategy has led to distortions across various asset classes. When the debt market lacks a genuine price discovery mechanism, it results in substantial imbalances across asset categories, such as stocks and housing. We will now present clips from Gregory Mannarino's interview with Liberty and Finance. But before we do, if you want more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for more updates. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
The debt market is the key. It's the driver. It is the number one market of the world. People don't realize that because they're always told where to look. You turn on CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, pick one. It's always about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the Dow Jones, the 30 companies. That's all we're talking about here. But they don't talk about what's driving the markets. The driver of the stock market, the driver pretty much with regard to price action of everything is action in the debt market. Whatever happens in the debt market has a ripple effect throughout all the other markets, being that the debt market is, in fact, the largest market of them all. Okay, and the dollar also, I'm including here, central bank issued currencies are also part of the debt market as well here. So everything derives value from that. So what I do and what I've been talking about, as you alluded to, for a decade, is keep your eyes on the debt market, because that's going to tell you what's going on. Now, we've been in an environment, well, since the last meltdown here, 2008, of incredibly suppressed rates. How does the central bank keep rates suppressed? Can they just say it? Can they just say, hey, guess what, everybody? We're going to keep rates at X? No, can't happen that way. The central banks must get into the market and make it happen. They have to buy the debt. This has created an environment that is so twisted, so distorted, that it's really even difficult for a person like myself who studies this around the clock to get my head around. I mean, let's think about this. If we understand that, let's just say the stock market, understanding that it derives value from the debt market, that means the stock market can be considered a derivative. Okay, the stock market derives value from the debt market. If the debt market has no real price discovery mechanism behind it, how could anything, especially the stock market or housing, have a real price discovery mechanism behind it? It can't. What this does is creates unbelievable distortions, again, across the spectrum of asset classes. And I've been warning about this again for 10 freaking years. And it's starting to get extremely real. Now, there's a lot of talk. It's amazing to see, even on the mainstream as of late, with regard to instability here in the debt market. What people don't know when they're not being told, and I want people to understand this, just do your own research a little, take a nanosecond, is realizing that we are in the largest, most vicious bear market in debt we've ever seen before. The bond market is selling off around the world. This phenomenon is something that you and I have spoken about, we have warned about, would eventually occur. And that would cause rates to spike. It would put pressure on world stock markets. But there's a lot of effort right now to keep rates suppressed. And part of this is war, the expansion of war, the propagation of war. I could go on and on about this, but the root cause of the problems today, the single root, what does this all boil down to? One thing and one thing only, Don, again, that is a liquidity problem. Liquidity meaning that even though the world today is awash in debt, more so than we've ever seen, and even though the debt it keeps being expanded on to an incredible degree, and war expands the debt faster than anything else here. It creates a larger demand for borrowed dollars than any other human endeavor, okay? There's not enough of it. There's a black hole of debt underneath this. The whole entire world is being sucked into a black hole of debt, and that hole, no matter what they keep fueling it with, is never enough. So this liquidity crisis we're in, which we are in, people are not supposed to know that. Part of it is the sell-off in the debt market. This moment of maximum saturation that I've been speaking about again for almost 10 freaking years is hitting us now. So what they're doing here is they're finding, again, any reason imaginable, things they're going to make up and throw at us to pull cash into the current system. And all this is doing is exacerbating, again, the underlying problem. They can't fix this. It cannot be fixed. No amount of war, no amount of anything. All this is doing is exacerbating the problem.
The banking turmoil that started in March 2023 is the most significant system-wide banking stress since the Great Financial Crisis, GFC, in terms of scale and scope. The bank failures, while having largely distinct causes, triggered a broader crisis of confidence in the resilience of banks, banking systems, and financial markets across multiple jurisdictions. Gregory believes the banking sector is in serious trouble, far more than most people know. This problem isn't confined to smaller banks. Larger institutions are also profoundly affected. These institutions have heavily invested in government debt, a decision that is backfiring as bond yields rise. In Gregory's view, central banks are the primary culprits, acting as the public enemy number one. He firmly believes that central banks are intentionally dismantling the global economy, funding wars, and sowing chaos. According to him, central banks fund all wars, but the source of this money remains undisclosed. Central banks have seized control of the global economy, financial system, and markets. They can create money at will, enabling them to fund any desired venture. He reiterates that all wars are indeed bank wars, and central banks fund both sides, a fact that serves as undeniable proof of the existing financial dynamics. Let's get back to the interview.
Diane, over a year ago, I started warning people that there was a problem with the banks. Okay. Of course, people thought I was out of my mind at first, and then we started seeing the regional banks here fall under pressure. It's so obvious to me that the banking sector is in trouble, and I mean more so than anyone is being allowed to know. It's just so obvious. How do we know these problems exist? We could just go back to what I told people over a year ago. No deposits, no loans, and no deals. And this is not just for the smaller banks. The larger institutions are also in that same boat, but it's even worse. Not all the larger institutions, let's talk about them real quick. They've loaded up on government debt, which is now they're watching their portfolios value evaporate as bond yields are rising. I mean, all you need is one or two functioning brain cells to just see this happening. Not only do we have this happening, but we also have loan defaults across the board, which is skyrocketing. And then on top of that, there's a whole other thing that we haven't even touched on. This whole real estate issue here. This is going to implode. This commercial real estate is a ticking time bomb. It's going to go off. And now we're starting to see warnings. Again, all this stuff that you and I have been trying to tell people for not freaking long. maybe they'll start paying more attention, because there are people like you and I believe the people that follow our work, that are able to see a little further down the road than maybe the next guy. But it's not so hard to do. You just look for cause and effect. And then you got to realize, again, what's the goal? Who's our real enemy? And in my view, you know who that is. It's the central banks. This is the public enemy number one. They're out here destroying the world. They're destroying the world economy by design. They're taking it apart. They're expanding wars. They're funding wars. Central banks are responsible for this entire thing. They fund all wars. Where does the cash come from? You see, we heard from President Biden, and we heard from recently from former President Trump. Oh yeah, we're gonna support Israel. Everything we got. I'm all about, look. They're not telling people where the money's coming from, and that bothers me. Okay, yes, go spend hundreds of billions, but we don't have it. Why can't we be told the truth? Why can't they tell people we are broke, we got no cash, we don't have a war chest to fund this war or to fund that war or anything? We have to borrow that cash. It's unbelievable. But it's part of the game that's being played on the people of not just the United States, but the people of the world. You know, it's incredible. Why did our forefathers here in the United States want to have a hard asset backing the currency? Because they knew that we would not be able to fight or fund endless wars. The fiat monetary system is a curse upon the world. People, and they don't know what's going on. Again, if we had a commodity-backed system, which we'll never have, because this is how central banks keep their power, is by issuing their product to the world, and they're willing to fund anything. They'll fund it all because they have the ability to add digits to a screen. If we had a gold-backed or a commodity-backed system, we couldn't fight endless wars here. If we went back to a wealth-based system, again, central banks have taken over the world. They've taken over the economy. They've taken over the financial system, the financial markets. Then we wouldn't be able to fight endless wars. There wouldn't be, okay, let's send $162 billion over there, or another $100 billion. We can't do it. But now that central banks, we have the ability to just conjure this cash out of nothing. Okay, we can do whatever they want, and they fund both sides. We all know this. How many times have we been warned that all wars are banker wars? I mean, I don't know how much more proof we need. It's just in our face.
Monetary tightening has created difficulties for U.S. and foreign governments in managing their debt. As these challenges persist, gold's role as a hedge against economic instability remains significant. Is the increasing national debt and the measures undertaken to tackle inflation a cause for concern in today's financial landscape? Share your observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.